Yo, in today's episode of the Pep Talk Podcast, we are going to be presenting you some of the keys to building your brand, your business, and your bank account. And we're going to be doing it via an interview with one of my really good friends, Stephen Pop Lewis. But before we get to that, I have a question for you. Have you had your dose of pep today? No? Got you. Y'all, welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of the Pep Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Jay, a life coach in DFW, and I'm so glad to be here with you for another episode. You know, the mission of the podcast is to cheer you on and to coach you up. That's right, you're great. I think you're great. Lots of people think you're great, and I'm going to cheer that on, but I'm also going to encourage you to level up. And I'm going to coach you to level up. And that's the purpose for this podcast. And today's episode is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be phenomenal. The guest that we have on today is going to really lay some things out for you that will help you no matter what stage of life you find yourself in, no matter what stage of your business you're in, no matter what stage of your dream you find yourself in. You will pull something from this episode that's going to bless your life and help you to elevate. I know that for certain. I know that for certain. And so I hope that you have your pen and your paper ready. I hope that you have your notes app pulled up on your iPhone or on your Android phone, because this is going to be life changing for a lot of people. And I want you to be one of those people. I want to thank you for subscribing to the channel. Y'all, keep subscribing, right? Keep subscribing, keep listening, keep commenting, keep sharing, and turn the notifications on so that you don't miss a single post, because during the week, I always post little snippets of shorts just to keep you pepped up during the week. Now, this episode's going to look a little bit different, okay? Because I had some issues with the video, so it's just going to be the logo of the podcast. But you'll still be able to hear it. And y'all, I promise you don't want to miss a single beat of this. Pop is going to dig deep and give you some really, really treasures of information of things that he's learned along from his journey. So watch the entire episode or come back to it if you have to pause it, because I don't want you to miss a single minute of what he has to say. And after the interview, I will be right back to wrap us up and to cap the episode off. So enjoy the interview. Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Pep Talk Podcast, Season 2. I am your host, Coach Jay, and y'all, I am so excited right now to have someone that I consider both a mentor and a brother to be a guest on the show. Without further ado, I want to introduce to you my boy, Stephen Pop Lewis, who is a content strategy guru, and he's doing amazing things right now. So, Pop, Steven, Pop, what you want me to call you, man?
Bro, what's going on? Hey, either one, you family calls me Pop, so we gonna rock with Pop, bro.
Okay, all right. So, Pop, man, I can't tell you how much of an honor and just it's a privilege, man, to have you on the Pep Talk podcast, man. You have been a tremendous source of pep for me personally. I've been watching you for a while, man, and so why don't you just greet the Pep Squad? That's what I call the audience, the Pep Squad. Just tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Pep Squad, hey, what's going on with you? Blessings to each and every one of you. Bro, listen, man, I'm truly honored that we were finally able to connect the dots, man, and make this happen, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what it is that you're doing. I'm so glad that you decided to, you had an idea and you executed on it, man. And this is proof of execution, man. So I salute you. And listen, man, the pleasure is all mine. So a little bit about me. I am a father. I am a husband. I am also a friend and father. I'm a friend and also an associate. I'm you, basically. You know what I'm saying? I'm a human just like you are. There's nothing extraordinary about me other than the fact that God has given me a talent that I have decided to pursue and to invest in and actually allow him to manifest the results and the fruit from it. So what I do on social media, man, I am a content coach, consultant. I have a content uh, agency called Creative Source Unlimited, where I literally help small businesses explode their brand and their business, bring visibility to them through creating irresistible content that attracts their ideal client and ideal customer so they can build their brand, their business, and their bank accounts. That's what I'm
Come
all
on.
about, man.
Come on, Pop.
Yes, sir.
So, man, you're doing some really amazing things with your business, and I just look at your content, and you have a really engaged audience, and they're rocking with you too. And I want to come back to that a little bit later, but here's where I want to start. So, I'm a big fan of exploring the hero's journey. So, like
Mm,
in the story of Odysseus in the Odyssey. Uh, he's a guy who is on, he has this issue. He's trying to get home to his wife and his kid, but in order to get home, he's a bonehead, so he keeps making the gods like Zeus and uh Poseidon, he keeps making them angry, so they make his trip harder to get home. And so by the end of the trip, he's lost almost all of his men, but he gets home and he wins in the end. But in every hero's journey, the part that I love to focus on is the part of the journey when they really doubt themselves and they have to find a way to come out of the other side of that doubt. Now, it's easy to look at everything that you're doing now and just say, man, Pop is in his winning season, man. Pop is in his bag. Like Pop is just like he's just spitting gold nuggets like every time he cuts the camera on. What was that part of the story for you when you were having the doubts, like you were thinking about going in this direction but you weren't quite so sure? What was that like? What was that moment, and what did you do to overcome it? Because I know there are people out there who are kind of in that same spot right now. So help help the people right now. Like, what was that spot for you? How did you overcome it?
Ooh, that's a great question, man. And I think, wow, I want people to be encouraged because even the people that you see that you think have it all put together, they ain't got it all put together.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure it out just like you're trying to figure it out. The only difference really is that they're continuing to press forward, or they're figuring it out as they go. And they're not allowing that period of trying to figure it out and getting clear to paralyze them from actually taking action, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
or at least taking the next appropriate step. So for me, man, I'm gonna be honest, like, you know, there has this season that I'm currently entering into came with extreme sacrifice, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I decided that I was going to quit my job and go full time into content creation, go full time into creating this business.
Hmm.
And I was like, yo, I'm about to kill it out here. Only to get out here and realize, hold on, this thing is a little bit more difficult than I anticipated. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more
Talk about it.
like understanding that, look, like I was under the impression that clients were going to beat my door down. I was under the impression that as soon as I made that transition, the whole world was going to know and everybody was going to want and rally and line up around the corner to come and get what Pop is offering, only to
Mm.
realize that, hold on, nah, bro, like, you making that transition was just a start. Now the work actually began. And so for me, man, having to now juggle, now me having an idea of what things were going to look like, only to be slapped in the face with the reality that that's not what it was going to be, that was
Yeah.
extremely disheartening and that was extremely discouraging. And so what I had to do is I had to actually lean on my faith and lean on the fact that God told me to do this. And I had a what I like to call a crisis of belief. I had to begin to either look at my circumstance and say, okay, my circumstances is telling me the truth, or what God said I am and what God told me to do is the truth. So
Come on.
I have to every single day choose between who I am and who God called me to be. And so the biggest challenge for me was wrestling with wanting to default to my sight, right? As opposed to living by vision or living by faith. And so I think that
Yes.
that has been my journey, almost to a degree. To a degree, it's almost like you have to live in a bit of delusion, because I had to get up every single day and say, yeah, I ain't got no money coming in. Yeah, things are super tight around here. Yeah, I still got 3 kids and a wife, right? Yeah, I still got to figure out how to make this happen. And all it seems like everything around me is collapsing. But guess what? I either have to say that's true, or I have to believe that I'm the head and not the tail, that I'm the
Come
lender,
on.
never the borrower, that I'm above and never beneath, right? That God can do exceedingly and abundantly all I could hope, think, or imagine. So I had a choice as to whether I'm going to believe what God said or believe what my circumstance said.
Well, everybody, welcome to the Church of Pop with Pastor Pop. Man, you laid down a lot, um, and your faith in God is at the bedrock of it. And you talk about having to make the choice every morning. You know, I think, and I relate to a lot of that. Like I'm not as far along in my journey um, as you are, but I resemble the fact that you have to wake up every morning and you have to make a choice. Am I going to believe what my circumstances say, or am I going to believe, that this is what God told me to do? Or am I going to choose to believe in myself and what my possibilities and potential are? So you said all of that perfectly. What did you do before jumping off into this avenue of life?
So prior to I worked at a bank. I worked customer service for almost 15 years, man. At a bank, I started there when I was like 21, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I literally, I became a husband there. I became a
Mhm.
father there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, that was definitely, a season of my life. And what happened is that I was never really fulfilled there. You know what I'm saying? Like never. And it really became a means for me to be able to provide the needs of my family. And as my family
Right.
expanded, I ended up staying longer than I believe I was supposed to. Right. And
Mm.
so what ended up happening was is that the very thing that I thought was supposed to be feeding my family, or the very thing that I thought was supposed to be the ticket, so to speak, ended up becoming a cage for me. And I and
Oof.
my creativity was stifled there. Like I was miserable. When I tell you I was miserable. And it's not, and the thing about it is not, people say, oh well, it wasn't because I worked for a terrible boss. My bosses were great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My immediate over the people that I work with, I love them. I'm still in communication with them even today. But I was in a cage, man. Creatively, I was in a cage.
Mm.
I could not. I could not. I would come into work and I would be exhausted when I came home, and I couldn't even bring myself to even follow through on the things that I had prayed about and God had told me to do. And I felt like such a failure day in and day out, because I was like, yo, I was supposed to do this and I didn't do it, and I just found myself either doom scrolling on my phone, or watching Netflix, or watching something to pretty much try to pacify myself, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because I was
Self-medicating.
self-medicating, bro. That's it. I was self-medicating, and I said, "Yo," and then this is before pandemic hit. That I'm at the house. I'm at home working from home at the bank, and as the pandemic was starting to kind of lighten up, they're like, "Oh, you got to come back to the office." Now, I've been at home for 2 years at this point. I've been able to be with my family. I was like, "Nah, man, like I'm not trying to do that. Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
clearly we could be effective. My numbers is on point. Like, I'm doing what I need to be doing. So why can't I stay home?" And
Right.
my boss was like, "Nah, like." The upper echelons of the company said no, like everybody needs to come back. So I said to my wife, I was like, look, I'm going to right now. They're doing a hybrid type of situation where we have to come into the office a few days, but then or like a week, and then we could be off a week. But I said, yo, as soon as they say we got to come back full time, I'm going to see if it's a possibility for me to extend it. And if not, I'm probably going to quit. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
yo, they told me straight up, like, nah, bro, like there's no hybrid situation. Like once as of this date, you got to come back full time. And I said to my wife, I was like, yo, I can't go back there because I'm going to die. Like, I mean, and not literally, but I mean, like everything that I have been working on to this point is, I know it's going to die.
Okay, and so you have this conversation with your wife. What was her reaction?
Whew. All right, so no, that's good that you bring that up because I had okay, so I have been talking about quitting for like 6 years up to this point, right? I've been
Oh,
talking about quitting
wow.
for like, my wife was like, "Nope, you not quitting. Nope, you're not quitting. Nope, you're not quitting." So I continue to stay because I was like, "All right, you listen. This is not something that I'm going to ruffle my wife's feathers off of. Like, I mean, listen, it's money's coming in because I get it. Like, she's really big
Yeah.
on stability, and I get it. We got 3 kids. I get it. My daughter was a baby at the time, so I was like, okay, no problem. I get it. So I stayed because again, my family expanded, and I had to do what I had to do.
Mhm.
This is how I knew that I said, okay, God, all right, you in this thing. Because when I told her, I said, look, babe, I told her the situation. I said, look, if they tell me X, Y, and Z, if they tell me I got to come back full time, I'm going to quit. She said to me, okay, well, you got to do what you got to do. And I was like, what? And so I was like, hold on. So who are you? Where's my wife? And
And what have you done with my wife?
what have you done with my wife? Like, who are you? And so, and when I tell when she said that with such like so effortlessly. I was like, oh, I was expecting her to push back. I was expecting it, and I had already made up in my mind what I had everything laid out how I was going to combat what she was going her rebuttal, bro.
Yeah.
When she said that, I said, okay, God, I gotta go do this now. I gotta go do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's killer. Man, that's killer. So my wife, I don't know if I've ever told you this. My wife, about 5 years ago, 5-ish, 6 years ago, she'd been a teacher for 10 years. She felt like God was calling her out of teaching and into something new. And
Mm.
she came to me and she was like, hey, I think I want to take a year off. I was like, nope. Mm-mm. Nope. Like, nope. However, however, when through journaling for me, I
Mm.
came to the conclusion that it was the right thing. And as soon as I came to the decision that it was the right thing and I freed her to do that, then she got the clarity that what she was supposed to do is go to chiropractic school. So that's how we ended up in Dallas 4 years ago. Now, 4 years later, she's graduating. She'll be graduating here in the next few weeks. Um,
Wow.
and so, like, the fact of having someone in your life to co-sign your yes, that's a
Yeah.
powerful thing. It's a really
100%.
powerful thing. So I think that's awesome. All right, so where did your passion for, you know, everything that you're doing now, like helping smaller brands and uh you know serving all of the education that you're serving to the people, where did that passion come from? And what were your first steps along that pathway?
Oh, that's a good question too. So for me, man, so it really stems from my parents. So my and even kind of entrepreneurial thing. My father um was basically like not literally but like the mayor of his town. Like everybody knew him, everybody knew my family.
Mm-hmm.
He was heavy in like counseling, he was heavy in helping youth, he was heavy in he was just really kind of heavy, and he was a foundational in his community. So he worked at a community center in Greenberg, shout out to Greenberg. And when I would go with him to his job, say we had to be someplace at 1 o'clock, it would literally take us 30 to 40 minutes to get out of the building. So his office was the building was 2 floors. His office was in a corner on the opposite side of the building. So we had to walk through the building in order to get out the door. And because everybody knew him, he had to stop. He had to dap everybody up. Hey man, how your mom doing? How this? He had to hug people. He had to, you know what I'm
That's
saying?
awesome.
And I saw him. I saw him since I was young, serving, helping, educating. You know what I'm saying? My mother also, she was heavy. She was a travel agent for years, right? She ended up actually opening up her own travel agency and kind of doing her own entrepreneurial thing.
All
But
right, mom.
you know what I'm saying? And so I saw her build a business off of pure relationships, off of helping, or off of going the extra mile. So much so that like when she would work for travel agencies before she established her own travel agency, like yo, the people who own the travel agency didn't want her to go because they knew that when she left that she was going to take a whole bunch of clientele with her. You know what I'm saying? And
Okay.
she was the one that people were coming to because of her ability to communicate and to share. And she was not, and her heart was, she wanted to save people money. She wanted to give them the best experience possible, right? So both of my parents kind of had a heart to serve and a heart for people. So that's, I think, where my desire to help and to serve comes from. It just so
Okay.
happened that God gave me the ability to create. That God gave me gifted me with the ability to communicate and also be creative, right? Being able to create visuals. And a lot of people don't know this, but I'm actually an artist. Like I went to school for fine art. Like I'm
Oh, wow.
actually, I draw, paint, all of that stuff. So that's what I've been drawing since I was like 7 or 8 years old. So
What?
uh,
Wait, wait,
yeah,
wait, wait,
yeah,
wait. Wait.
yeah,
Like we Pep Squad, we're getting the scoop. We're getting the scoop right now.
yeah,
My boy is a trained. Okay. That just
yeah.
that makes so much sense now. Man, okay. Continue.
So you know what I'm saying? So I went to school for fine art. I went to school for graphic design. So I just had a creative. I was blessed with a creative outlet. You know what I'm saying? And so I just basically merged the gift of communication with the love for the art, or the ability to be able to create. And
Hmm.
that is built on the foundation of my parents sewing into me and me seeing the necessity and the privilege and opportunity of having a heart for people and serving them properly.
Man, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. That's wow. That's so good. Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna pivot. And so my thing, the thing that I believe in talking about, and the mission of this podcast is to cheer you on and to coach you up.
Yeah.
Because the
I
two
love it.
things that I believe is that everybody needs a cheerleader. But I
Yes.
also believe that everybody needs a coach. So somebody to encourage you and pump you up and tell you how great you are. But you also need that person to say, as great as you are, there's still another level for you to
Yes.
go to. And one of the ways that I address that is through mindset strategies. So, can you talk a little bit about how you had to kind of, or what you do even to make sure that you're in the right mindset to do what you do every day, because you are literally, man, you're affecting lives, by you're giving voice to smaller brands, and you know new coaches or whoever's watching your consuming your content. You're giving voice to some of their insecurities and their frustrations, and you're providing solutions to all of those things. So what kind of mindset does it take for you to stay in that creative space every day?
Yeah. Yo, it really boils down to intention, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think, that's a word that's thrown around a lot, but intentionality, man, is really what everything hinges on for me. And really, I'm gonna be honest, man. That you asked that question, like I gotta say, like even stemming back, I gotta credit my parents again. Like, yo, I never remember my parents telling me that I can't do something. Like,
Hmm.
like I can't do, like, you can't, what I'm saying? You can't, do something that's going to be harmful for you. But I don't
Right.
ever remember my mother or my father ever telling me, hey, you can't do that. They might give me some, well, hey, these are some things that you need to look at. You know what I'm saying? These are some things that you may want to consider, but never like even when I told them I was gonna go full-time entrepreneur, like I'm thinking they're like, yo, what are you talking about? Like I'm thinking, like, especially my mom was gonna scream on me, you know what I'm saying? But it was like, yo, okay, these are the things to consider, but like, yo, shoot your shot, like swing, you know what I mean? And so
Come on.
so for me, I think from very young, I think a lot of those blockers were removed. So for me now, even though I bump into my challenges as far as even my own, even trying to stay consistent and not getting too far into my head. And I think that's what has allowed me to really be consistent and intentional about keeping my mindset where it needs to be.
Hmm.
Because as we talked about earlier, I it comes down to that crisis of belief for me, right? Do I believe that I have dominion and authority in the space that God has planted me? If
Come
I
on.
believe that, if I believe that, then I have the obligation at that point to walk in that power and authority, right? So whatever thoughts or let's say thoughts that come into my mind that are contrary to that belief system that I have dominion and authority where God has placed me, then those things aren't true. So I begin to say, oh, no, 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 no. That's not true, because that's contrary to what God said. That's contrary to what I believe in and what I'm standing 10 toes down in. So
Yeah.
what I think is important for us to what I think was important for us to do is we have to have a baseline of, yo, this is my truth. Boom. Like this is what I stand 10 toes down in. This is what I believe about me. This is what I
Hmm.
believe about my ability. This is what I believe on what I can do. Baseline. Anything that is speaking against that is not true. Right?
Yes.
Anything that is trying to come against that, I'm identifying it, and I'm moving around it. I'm not allowing it to have space enough to make me question or doubt the authority and dominion that God has given me. So
Yes.
I think having that baseline is extremely important. And then once you have that baseline, then you have a filter almost, or a, yeah, I'm gonna say a filter or a reference point to
Hmm.
now look at certain things and say, oh, no, 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 nope. Yes, on that, definitely, that's a hard no. You know what I'm saying? So that is how I'm able to, because I set that standard, because I set that boundary, because I have laid that foundation. It makes it a lot, and I'm clear on it. It makes it a lot easier for me to keep my mindset in alignment with my belief.
No, I think that's great. Um, I talk a lot about you talk about having this baseline of beliefs. I call it, a self creed or something, but
Mm.
you do have to have that thing where the rubber meets the road. And
Yeah,
I talk about how, when you know who you are, you know what you can do. And when you know who you are, you also understand that there are going to be things that just don't serve where you're trying to go,
100%.
things that don't serve your dreams. So, I mean, if you wake up and you know you need to get this, and this done, but your favorite show just dropped on Netflix, me, turning on Vampire Diaries, I don't know,
Yeah, yeah,
and sitting there and binging for 6 hours, that does not serve where I want to go. How do I know? Because I can always go back to that
yeah.
belief system. What do I believe about myself? What do I believe that I should be doing with my time now? How am I spending my time in order to reinforce that belief and to push me forward further along to that dream? You said
Yeah.
it. You said it. Okay, so one thing that you're doing right now that I think is brilliant um, is the Clarity Lounge. So
Yeah.
talk to us about the development of the Clarity Lounge.
Yo, Clarity Lounge is something that I'm super excited about, man. And shout out to my guy Mario Armstrong. He's when we talked about, you mentioned mentors. He's one of those. He's one of those mentors, a friend, a coach. And he told me, he's been telling me for a while, like, man, you have to do something else. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. And I kind of kicked around the idea of like, want to do a show, but how am I going to do it or whatever like that. And he was like, yo, like, why don't you start with an Instagram live? And
Hmm.
I was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, yo, what you do is, like, he gave me the play. What you do is you reach out to people who have, larger platforms than you, see if they want to get on the show. And you kind of, you're able to now leverage their platforms and learn from them at the same time. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
dang, that's a play. So what I did was I was like, okay, well, and let me just kind of back up for a second. I think it's important that you consistently, particularly as a business owner, particularly if you're on social media, it's very important for you to build your body of work. It's extremely important. I call it bubbling in obscurity. So
Right.
even if nobody is watching, or you don't think anybody's watching, even if you're not getting the likes, even if you're not getting the shares and all of those things, it's important to build your body of work. And here's why. Because once I decided I was going to do the Clarity Lounge, I started reaching out to people who had 100,000+ followers. I had at the time under 2,000, right? So one would say, yo, uh, why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? What would give you the audacity to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea really of, you reaching out and asking somebody, they got to see what's in it for them. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Right.
Yeah.
And so you having less than 2,000 followers, what value can you possibly add to someone who has 100 plus? Right. So what I was able to do when I reached out to these people to ask them to come on the Clarity Lounge, would you know that some of these people already knew who I was? Because
Huh.
because of the body of work that I had already done, that I had already put out there, the work when I was bubbling in obscurity, when I was doing it in the dark, that same work and effort that I put in, some of those people had already heard of me. So when I reached out to them, it was an official introduction, but they were already familiar with my work. So
Wow.
before they met me, they were familiar with my work. You feel what I'm saying? And so the Clarity Lounge really became is a a space where small businesses, creative entrepreneurs can come, and people who may be even thinking about entrepreneurship can come and learn about different industries and how these people that have built these 5, 6, 7 figure businesses, some of them,
Mm-hmm.
how they were able to do it, how or what their journey was to get there, and also giving some practical tips on how you can, if you're interested in that industry, you're interested in doing what they did, giving you some practical tips on how you can, or what you can apply to start your journey to get there. And
Hmm.
so, and it's a benefit for me also because I get a chance to serve. I get a chance to not only learn from the person I'm interviewing, but my audience gets a chance to learn from them as well. You know what I'm saying? And that's a win-win for me to be able to introduce you to somebody that you may look at, that you may go to their page and they got 150,000 followers, 180,000 followers, and they look superhuman. But for them
Yeah.
to on to Clarity Lounge, and for me to dig into their story, and for you to realize, like, yo, they're a human just like me, and if
Yeah.
they can do it, I can do it. That right there is the absolute reward for me, man.
I think it's so great that you're doing this, that because of that last part that you said, how you're able to take someone who has an ungodly amount of followers and humanize them over the course of a conversation. I think that's a huge win for the mega creator.
Yeah,
Uh, because I mean, you look at these people, like you had Travis Brown on, you had
yeah,
Nikki on. Those are two of my faves so far. But those are people that I have looked at and said, oh my gosh, like to have a conversation with them, to be able to pick their brain about different things, but they would never notice a small fry like me. And what you're doing, really what you're doing, you are dispelling that myth.
Yeah. Praise
Like
God.
you are kicking that faulty belief system completely out the door, and you have opened the door for everybody to get game, number one, but also number two, we get to know these people on a human level. It levels the playing field, and the content, the lessons, the education that comes over the course of the conversations that you all are having. I mean, you are it's changing people's lives, and it's shaping the trajectory of people's visions. Um, let's talk about. So you talk about Mario Armstrong as one of your mentors. I know that you are a huge believer in investing in yourself. I know
Yeah.
you went to a conference the past weekend. What has been the biggest value add for you in terms of seeking out coaches and mentors?
That's a great question. So it has to be alignment. You know what I'm saying? So for instance, my business coach, Marcus Y. Rozier, that brother is first, well, he's a amongst everything else that he is, he's a pastor, right? And so for him, I resonated with Marcus because we were aligned as far as our heart for people.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell through his content and in interactions. And what's interesting enough, Marcus, I believe, I don't remember exactly. I think he might have reached out to me, but I had a question, and he actually took time out of his schedule to send me a video DM answering my question. And I was like, "Yo, who does that?" You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like who does that? And not asking for anything in return. So I I took like one of his challenges, and I'm listening to this dude, and I'm like, "Yo, like this dude he's not just teaching business, like he's shepherding us, like I can like I had that sense, like my it was literally like my spirit connected with his, and I was like, okay, I got it. And like after every meeting, this dude was like, hey man, can I pray with you and over you? You know what I'm saying? And every meeting ended with prayer.
Love
And
that.
I was like, okay, I can most certainly I it's clear that of course our belief systems are the same. We're in alignment as far as our heart for people and our desire to shepherd people. And on top of everything, even on top of that, or in a company with that, dude was brilliant. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff that he was actually teaching, I was able to apply, and it worked. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Hmm.
so I think what ends up happening is a lot of the times we can get very starstruck because someone has a large personality or
Mm-hmm.
someone talks really good,
Mm-hmm.
but that is not enough for us to that's not enough for someone to be someone that you invest in, right? And so it does most certainly take time for you to actually see, okay, is this person in alignment? Do we have similar core values and beliefs, right? And with Mario, I decided to rock with Mario because him too, his heart to actually help people is out of this world,
Yeah,
right?
it's huge, man.
And I've seen like I mean I could give you a bunch of stuff that he's helped me out personally. Marcus has helped me out personally. And what I would to answer your question, because I can go on and on about these guys, but investing in yourself is absolutely positively a necessity. At the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
But the thing about it is, I would say when you're looking for a mentor, when you're looking for someone to coach you, you have to do the me work to be clear on what it is that you need, right? Because if you don't do the me work and you don't know what you need, then when you start to look for mentors and when you start to look for coaches, you can then fall victim to just because this person has a large following, I'm going to go with this person. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah.
so and that could be extremely dangerous. You could waste time, energy, money, right? and be burnt and literally be burnt out. So what you want to do is you want to start to do the me work and say, okay, what are some of the things that I need? Where am I falling short? Right. And then you begin to search out people who are actually doing the thing that you are lacking in, or in, at a level that you wish to get to.
Mhm.
And those are people that you can start to look to tap in with.
Okay. So that's all excellent advice. Pep Squad, I hope y'all are taking notes on that. But what would you say to the person who says, you know, um, I've never had a mentor. Um, I can't afford a mentor. Nobody's ever looked at me and seen that I might have that spark or that thing to offer. Uh, Nobody's ever offered to, help me get up on game or along those lines. Because I mean, we know there are people out there who they're just trying. They're
Yeah.
trying. They're watching YouTube. They're on Instagram consuming content like 24/7, just consuming, consuming, consuming. But they've never had the opportunity to have that mentor or that coach. What would you say to that person?
So for that person, and you actually mentioned it. So for me, I let me just go ahead and speak from my experience. So from my experience, before I had a mentor, I listened to podcasts. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I went to YouTube University. I began to pick up books and read from thinkers that were good and or that I aspired to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
I started to actually doing everything within my affordability, let's say. You know what I'm saying? I started to do everything that I can control, and I started to actually consume the things that I could afford.
Yeah.
It was in me doing that particular work, me actually spending that time and energy and sacrifice, right? Sacrificing and allotting time to learn. It was in those areas, it was in that time that I was able to then discover the things that I didn't know, right? Or things that I needed help with. And it was at that point that I could then start to, or I started to seek out people who can directly help me in a deeper level on those particular areas,
Yeah.
right? So that's how I went. So I went with first what I could afford, and I couldn't afford because I was living paycheck to paycheck. So the only
Mm-hmm.
thing I could afford was books. The only thing I could afford was podcasts. The only thing I could afford was free shows on YouTube. That was the only thing that I could, and audiobooks. You know what I'm saying? I could afford an audible subscription. So
Right.
that's where I started. You know what I'm saying? That's where I started as well. And then once I obtain that information, and then I begin to not just obtain the information, but actually started to apply what I was learning from the free stuff that I was getting or the budget stuff that I was getting.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I actually started to apply those things that I was able to identify gaps that I needed help with. And it was in that revelation and that clarity that I then sought out mentors like Mario, like Marcus, who can then fill in the gaps of let me say it this way, fill in those information gaps for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's big. And, if you need to hear that even more simply, there's no shame in starting where you are.
Yep.
Like,
Period.
um, you've got to start somewhere. I think the important thing, y'all, is just to start. Just to
Period.
start. Uh, because the longer you take to reach for your future, the less time you have when you get there.
I love that, yo.
That's just
That's a
that's just
bar. That's a
facts.
bar, bro. That's a bar.
Okay. So we've talked about the Clarity Lounge, which again, y'all, you need to follow Pop and you need to check in on the Clarity Lounge because he's having heavy hitters, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it now. At some point in the near future, Pop is going to be one of those very recognizable heavy hitters that somebody's going to be trying to get on their Instagram live or in the metaverse. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to have by then, but
I
um,
receive that, bro. I receive it.
it's it's just, and for me, it's simple. Like, it comes down to the fact that you want to help people. And I always say that when your heart and your intentions are service focused, you just don't take L's. You don't take losses. Those
Yeah.
L's are learning opportunities, they're not losses. And when your heart's in the right place, man, even when people try to take advantage of you or put you in a situation where you get taken or whatever, when your heart's in the right place, man, it's just the stuff that does not appear to be working for you, it still works for you. It still
Yeah.
works out.
That's a fact.
So, man,
That's
I honor everything that you're doing, man. Like I said, you are a mentor from afar. For me, you answer every question that I have, and I consider you to be a brother, like as much of a brother as anybody, man. And it's an honor and a privilege to have you. Uh, but I want to wrap up this whole interview with something new that I'm doing for season two. And so this is the Pep Talk podcast. And so I want to give you, I want to give you some time just to give a pep talk from you directly to the pep squad out there, something that gets them fired up. I don't know, whatever's on your heart. I'm going to mute my mic and I'm going to give you some time just to do your Les Brown thing and just fire the people up. All right?
yes, sir.
All right. Here we go. This is your pep talk from Pop.
Let's go. Listen, family. Listen, the reality of it is life is going life. You know what I'm saying? And so every single day you have a decision as to how you're going to approach it and how you're going to respond. And it is in that decision that you hold your power. So what I don't want you to do is to give your power away to situations and circumstances. Instead, take your control back and you tell your situation and your circumstance what you're going to do. I want you to go into tomorrow after you're listening to this episode. I want you to say to when you wake up in the morning, I want you to begin I want you to put together what I like to call a mental hygiene, a mental hygiene, uh, a mental hygiene regimen, right? Where you are you're telling yourself and you're telling your circumstances who you are, what you're going to accomplish, and daring your situation and your circumstance to say anything contrary. I want you to take your dominion and your power back and walk in it unapologetically. You know why? Because you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you have everything that you need in your hand. So, guess what? It's time to get to work. I love y'all.
Y'all, this has been the Pep Talk podcast with Preacher Pop.
Yes, sir.
Ooh, man, just let me know when the very first official sermon is. I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna hop on a flight, and I'm gonna be there on the front row with my tambourine. I'm just
Let's go. Yes, indeed, brother. Yes, indeed.
um. You've blessed us, man. You've blessed us. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to link up with me. Um, and why don't you tell the people how they can find you, how they can get in touch?
Yes, absolutely. Again, brother, listen, I am honored. I'm so grateful that we got a chance to actually sit down and do this. You are an asset to the community, man. You are an asset to this world, bro. You
Thank
have
you.
you have such a awesome spirit. You have such a beautiful spirit, man, and I'm so glad that you are that you're able to share that, and people are going to be able to receive it, and people are going to be able to be lavished in the love that God has placed in your heart for them. So I'm
Mm.
I'm I'm honored to be able to share your platform, man. And as far as how you can connect with me, all roads lead to Instagram. Pop the Creative on Instagram, Pop the Creative. So you can connect with me, DM me, let me know. Let me know that you're a part of the Pep Squad. You know what I'm saying? Let me know that you heard this. Shoot me a DM. Let me know that you heard the episode. Give me a takeaway. Let me know how you felt, and how it transformed you and gave you something that you could build with. And yeah, just tap in with me there. everything that I'm doing is pretty much broadcast there, and I'll, I continue to provide content on a daily basis that I believe is really going to serve you well. And yeah, just let's take the ride, man. Let's take the ride.
Let's take the ride. Let's take the ride. All right, so this has been amazing. Pep Squad, we are going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back with some wrap up closing thoughts for this episode. But thank you for rocking with us in this episode of the Pep Talk Podcast. Don't go anywhere. Quick break. We'll be right back. Y'all just jam to the music. Peace.
Peace.
Yo, if that interview did not get you pumped up, I don't know what is. And I think one of my favorite parts about this is during his pep talk, Pop just said, you need to wake up in the morning. You need to remind yourself of who you are. Come on, and tell yourself what you're going to do, and then dare your circumstances to try to stop you. Yo, that is some high level thinking. That is some high level accountability, and that is some high level mindset. But here's the thing, yo, you have that within you. You have it within you. And I hope that over the course of this interview, everything that Pop has said, I hope that it resonated. And I hope that no matter where you find yourself, maybe you haven't even started pursuing your dreams yet. Maybe you haven't started building that business yet, but it's all you can think about. Maybe you've been building that business and it's been hard and you want to quit. Yo, he said something over the course of this conversation for each and every person listening to this episode. So if you're watching this video, yo, believe me, we prayed about it. This information is for you, and he gave it away to you free. He gave it away to you free. So do me a favor, y'all. Go find Pop's information on Instagram. Go follow the guy. Tell him where you found him. Tell him about the interview, that you're a part of the Pep Squad. Just bless him for how he's blessed us over the course of this interview. And yo, I can't tell you all enough. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification so that you don't miss a single ounce of the encouragement that we give throughout the week. Y'all, we are in this for the long haul. And again, like I said in the opening, the mission of this podcast is to cheer you on and to coach you up. We don't want you to stay where you are. We want to encourage you as you go, but we also want to see you elevate. I want to win. I want you to win. And I want everybody associated with me and with this podcast to win. Yo, it's winning season. And if you need to go back and listen to this episode, watch this video, I encourage you to do it, y'all. It has been a privilege. It's been a pleasure to be here with you to start your week off. Thank you for hanging with us on this Monday of episode 2 of season 2 of the Pep Talk Podcast. And if you're wondering, yo, what happened to season 1? Well, I didn't do video for season 1 because I was just trying to get into it. But you can find season 1 on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. We are all over the place spreading this message that while you're great, you can be greater. We can all elevate. That includes your boy, Coach Jay. So again, thank you for hanging out with us. And in the comments, I want to know what stood out to you from this episode. Like, what are you taking away? What are your takeaways? How were you going to implement all of the knowledge and the wisdom that was talked about over the course of this episode? And what are your next steps? And also, I want to encourage you to also find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook community, the Pep Talk Podcast community. I want to see you there. Join us there so we can get a chance to engage and interface with one another so that we all can grow together. It's about all of us moving up. It's about all of us doing better, one step at a time, helping one another become everything that we are destined to become. Y'all, it's been a privilege. It's been a pleasure. Again, subscribe, hit the notifications, follow us, hit us up on social media. You'll find all that information in the description for the video. But y'all, I love you. Have a great day. And as I like to close and always say, keep it love, keep it light, and keep it peppy. We'll see you next week for episode 3 of the Pep Talk Podcast. It's your boy, Coach Jay. Love y'all. Y'all be blessed. Peace.